All right, today we are doing something a little different. We're not just exploring an idea, we are literally mapping an entire reality, a universe of universes laid out in one of the most mysterious and complex books of the 20th century. Look, this cosmology is massive. The scale is just hard to put into words. So we're going to take our time with this one. It's an extended deep dive to chart it all, from the absolute center of infinity all the way down to a single human life. Okay, let's jump right in.
Right from the very start, the book we're exploring, the Urantia book, lays its biggest challenge right on the table. The authors, who claim to be celestial beings, basically say, look, we're about to describe the infinite, but we're stuck using your finite human language. That's a fair warning, right? It's them telling us up front that we're about to run into ideas and terms that are designed to stretch our minds and our vocabulary to their absolute limits.
So what exactly is this book? Well, it was published way back in 1955, and it's this epic 2,000-page spiritual and philosophical text. The authorship? A complete mystery. It's not attributed to any one person, but to a whole commission of different celestial personalities. And its content is just as ambitious as you can imagine. It claims to reveal the true nature of God, the hidden architecture of the cosmos, the lost history of our planet, which it calls Urantia, and a totally expanded story of the life and teachings of Jesus.
To get our bearings, it really helps to know that the book itself is built like a giant cosmic zoom lens. It kicks off in part 1 with the biggest possible picture, the entire universal structure, from the center of infinity looking out. Then, part 2 zooms into our specific corner of the cosmos. Part 3 focuses in tightly on the secret history of our own world, Urantia. And finally, part 4 presents its incredibly detailed version of the life of Jesus. So for our journey today, we're going to follow that exact same path, mapping the cosmos from the outside in.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start at the absolute center of everything, the divine and central universe. From there, we'll expand outward through these massive layers called the 7 super-universes until we find our own cosmic neighborhood. Once we're there, we'll uncover the secret history of our own planet, a story of incredible promise and, well, rebellion. And finally, we'll see how this whole massive map connects directly to the purpose of a single individual life through what the book calls the mortal ascension plan.
All right, let's begin where all things begin. We're not just going to the start of time here. We're going to the place that is outside of time, the absolute motionless center that is the source, the pattern, and the ultimate destination for everything and everyone in all of existence. This is the heart of infinity.
Okay, the first big idea we have to wrap our heads around is deity. In this book, it's not just another word for God. Think of it more like the total field of reality from which all divinity comes. You can experience it as a personal God, sure, like a father, but it also exists in forms that are completely beyond personality, what the book calls pre-personal and superpersonal. It's kind of like the ocean. You can interact with a single wave, which feels personal and right there, but the ocean itself is something so much vaster, a potential that is both the source of that wave and infinitely more than it.
So, if deity is that vast, ultimate source, that entire ocean, then divinity is how we, as finite beings, actually experience it. It's the signal we can tune into. The book says we perceive it in the world around us as truth, beauty, and goodness, the patterns of reality, aesthetics, and ethics. And we experience it in our personal lives as love, mercy, and ministry. Divinity is basically our window into that ultimate and otherwise totally incomprehensible reality of deity. Now, at the heart of the personal side of deity is a trio, the Paradise Trinity. First, you have the Universal Father, the ultimate source of all personality, the original thought. Then there's the Eternal Son, who is the perfect expression of that original thought, the living word that makes the Father knowable. And finally, you have the Infinite Spirit, who is the limitless action that brings that original thought and living word to life across the entire cosmos. They are, together, the mind, the word, and the deed at the absolute center of everything.
And this is a really crucial point, a place where this cosmology makes a radical claim. The center of the cosmos isn't just an idea or a spiritual state. No, the Urantia book insists it is a real, physical place, the eternal Isle of Paradise. It's described as being absolutely still, the geographic anchor for the entire spinning cosmos, and the literal wellspring from which all physical matter and all energy first flow. Everything in the material universe is, in a very real way, in orbit around the single motionless eternal island.
Now, surrounding this motionless center is a universe that's completely unique, Havona. It's described as a perfect, timeless creation with no beginning and no end. It contains 1 billion perfect worlds inhabited by beings who have never known anything but perfection, and it serves as the divine blueprint for all the other evolving universes out in time and space.
For souls on their final pilgrimage to God, this is the last stop, the ultimate training ground and the final exam before arriving at the shores of paradise itself. So we have this perfect, timeless, unbreathing core of reality. But that's not where we live. Our story, the human story, takes place way out on the frontiers, in the vast, sprawling, messy, and ever-changing creations of time and space. So it's time to zoom out from that perfect center and into what the book calls the 7 super-universes.
To really get the scale here, the book makes a key distinction. Think of it like a map of a huge country. The grand universe is all the developed and populated areas, the cities, the towns, the highways. That's Havona plus the 7 super-universes. But the master universe is the entire country, including the vast, untamed wilderness and uncharted territories that are set for future development. It's the difference between what is and what will be.
And the scale of what's currently inhabited is, well, it's staggering. The text puts the number of life-bearing or potentially life-bearing worlds in the 7 super-universes at around 7 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't some empty cosmos with a few lonely points of light. The book describes a teeming, organized, and meticulously administrated reality on a scale that's almost impossible for the human mind to really grasp.
And here's how it's all organized. It's this perfectly nested hierarchy, a form of cosmic federalism, really. The grand universe is the whole thing. Each of the 7 super-universes breaks down into major and minor sectors. Each minor sector contains thousands of local universes, and it just keeps going down. Constellations, systems, and finally individual worlds just like ours. It's like a vast cosmic government, structured with breathtaking precision from the absolute top all the way down to the local planetary level.
So, after all that cosmic map-making, where are we? Where is Earth in this vast structure? Well, according to the text, our planet, which it calls Urantia, is in the local universe of Nebadon. And Nebadon itself is just one part of Orvanton, which is the 7th and youngest of the 7 super-universes, still in its early stages of development. All of a sudden, we're not just floating in some random meaningless void, we have a specific cosmic address. Now that we know our galactic address, let's zoom in and meet the neighbors. We're leaving the scale of trillions behind and focusing on our home turf, the piece of the cosmos we are a direct part of, the local universe of Nebadon. According to the Urantia book, every local universe like ours is a unique, personal project. It's brought into being by a divine partnership. You have a creator son, ours is named Michael of Nebadon, who acts as the architect, sovereign, and father figure for the entire creation. And with him is a creative mother spirit, a representative of the infinite spirit, who is the weaver of life, mind, and consciousness. Together, they're described as the parents of everything and everyone in our entire corner of the cosmos. But hey, even a local universe with its potential for 10 million inhabited worlds is way too big for just 2 beings to manage directly. So their very first creation is a chief of staff, a prime minister who runs the day-to-day operations. In our universe, Nebadon, that being is Gabriel of Salvington. He is the chief executive who makes sure the vision of Michael and the Mother Spirit is carried out across the millions of worlds under their watch. And now, we focus the lens all the way down, from the universe of universes to the 7th superuniverse, to our local universe, and finally to our home, planet 606 in the system of Satania, which the book calls Urantia. And this is where the text presents a history that is profoundly different from what we might expect. A story that's marked by rebellion, isolation, and default. This timeline shows a history of incredible promise that was repeatedly thrown off course. Life is intentionally sparked 500 million years ago. The first true humans appear, and our world is officially put on the galactic map. But then, disaster strikes. Our planetary governor, a being named Caligostia, joins a massive rebellion, which effectively isolates the planet. Ages later, a crucial recovery mission led by 2 beings, Adam and Eve, also fails. The book's story of Earth is one of a grand experiment that has gone tragically wrong, twice.
So let's start at the beginning of that timeline. The book presents a radical idea. Life is not an accident of chemistry, it's a deliberate act of cosmic engineering. It's kicked off by a specialized order of beings called life carriers who are kind of like cosmic botanists. They design the basic DNA patterns that are suitable for a world's chemistry, and then they implant them in its oceans, setting the stage for the long, slow process of evolution to begin. On our world, Urantia, they did this 550 million years ago.
The first great tragedy, according to the text, was the Lucifer Rebellion. And this wasn't just some local problem. This was huge.
Lucifer was the sovereign ruler of our entire system of 1,000 inhabited worlds. He was, in effect, the CEO of our whole sector of space. So when he decided to secede from the universal government, he took many of his subordinates with him, including our planet's direct supervisor, Caligostia. In an instant, Urantia and 36 other worlds were cut off from the cosmic grid, plunged into spiritual darkness and confusion.
And Lucifer's argument, his declaration of liberty, was incredibly persuasive because it was built on three powerful, cynical claims. First, the Universal Father is a myth, a lie the rulers use to keep you in line. Second, our local universe creator, Michael, is a tyrant whose rule is illegitimate and arbitrary. And third, the whole plan for mortals to strive for an eternity to reach paradise is a rigged game you can never win, so you should claim your liberty now. It was a philosophy of cosmic anarchy, a call for radical, selfish freedom, and a lot of beings were convinced.
The text really captures the tragedy of this moment with this dramatic passage, lamenting the fall of a once brilliant and beloved leader. His downfall wasn't just a political coup, it was a profound spiritual catastrophe that sent shockwaves of sorrow and confusion through the system for ages, leaving worlds like ours isolated and just struggling.
Long after the rebellion began, a second mission was sent to help our quarantined world. Two beings of a superior physical order, Adam and Eve, arrived as biologic uplifters, with a mission to literally upgrade humanity's DNA, to give our species a stronger genetic foundation. But this crucial mission also failed in what the book calls the Adamic default, and the consequences were huge. Humanity was deprived of a superior physical body that would have been naturally more aligned with spiritual pursuits. According to the book, this is the root cause of that intense internal conflict, that classic, difficult struggle between the flesh and the spirit that defines so much of life on our world.
So, after this epic story of cosmic architecture and planetary tragedy, we finally arrive at the most important question. What does any of this mean for you, for me, for an individual human being? This brings us to the final piece of the map, the purpose of a single mortal life, and the path from our troubled world all the way back to the perfect center of all things.
This might be the most personal and profound concept in the entire book. It's called the thought adjuster. The book describes this as an actual fragment of the Universal Father, a literal piece of God that comes to live inside the human mind around the age of 5 or 6. It's not an angel or some external guide. It is your direct, personal, and private connection to the absolute center of reality, a silent partner whispering truths and nudging you toward an eternal future.
And this right here brings us to the ultimate purpose of human life in this cosmology. Survival after death is not a given, it's an achievement. The goal of our short life here is to choose, day by day, decision by decision, to align our personal will with the guidance of that divine fragment within us. This partnership, this co-creation between the finite human and the infinite divine, is what actually builds the immortal soul and ensures the survival and continuation of your unique personality after death.
But what's really interesting is that the journey to paradise isn't the only possible happy ending. While that's the main path for most, the book says some mortals can choose other destinies, becoming permanent citizens and public servants in our local universe or the super-universe. Why? Because these vast creations need experienced administrators who truly get what it's like to be mortal, to struggle, and to evolve. It ensures that the government of the cosmos is populated by people who've actually lived the life of those they govern.
And for those who do choose that ultimate journey, this slide maps out the incredible pilgrimage ahead. It's an ascent through ever higher spheres of learning and existence. It begins after death on what are called the Mansion Worlds, a place of healing and reorientation. From there, it's a grand educational tour through the universities of the system, the constellation, and the local universe. Then begins the truly epic trek across the super-universe, then through the billion perfect worlds of Havona, until finally, after an experience spanning ages, the traveler arrives home, at the Isle of Paradise and in the presence of the Universal Father.
The Urantia book's cosmology is, without a doubt, absolutely epic. It paints this picture of a universe that is meticulously organized, personally administered, and filled with infinite purpose and unending adventure. Now, whether you see it as a genuine revelation or as one of the most elaborate works of speculative fiction ever created, it stands as a testament to the human desire for meaning. And it leaves us with a final, provocative question. What does our own ability to even conceive of such a vast and hopeful map of eternity tell us about our deep, unending search for a meaningful place within it?